Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the sixth session in the Shortcuts Career Clinic Hackathon series, which has been running from October and is running until the end of January 2021. Thank you for joining us. So today's session is all about how to hack the job interview. So we've spoken about the CV, the cover letter, LinkedIn, effective job searching, and also how you can use your international background as your biggest selling point. Assuming you followed all the steps, you should have secured an interview, and we're going to go through how you can absolutely ace it. But first things first, and I did this last week, and it was a little bit slow, so I'm hoping that we have a little bit more participation today. But where in the world are you watching this stream from? It'd be really interesting to know, who's joining us and where from, just to get you guys awake and active and interacting. So if you just write where you're watching this from in the comments section of Facebook or YouTube, wherever you're watching this, and then Hannah, our lovely moderator, will shout it out. As some of you probably already know, I'm presenting it from my apartment in Helsinki. I'm in Turla. So yeah, very good. Hannah, you're originally from the States, but where are you watching it from?
I'm watching it in Helsinki, in Malmi as well. Unfortunately, we don't have any comments right now from where anyone is watching it. Maybe we can assume Finland.
Yeah, this happened last time. We got one or two comments. Someone from the UK answered. I think it was Rebecca, and we got chatting. But that's okay. We can move. Oh,
we got Espo. Woo!
Yes, Espo. Great. Hello from Espo. But yeah, maybe we can think of a different way to do this in the future to get people active. But we'll move on. Thank you. Cool. So a little bit about me, if you don't know already. I hail from the UK originally. Moved to Helsinki last August. I'm the acting COO of the Shortcut. I probably should remove this little bullet point, but I have brown hair, blue eyes, and a ginger beard, which is a weird complexion. Who knows why? Mix of different heritages, I guess. And as always, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, especially if you need help in your job search. So a few rules and guidance. Make sure your chargers are next to you for your laptop and your phone. If you have any questions throughout the session, write them in the chat section. Hannah will ask these questions at the Q&A section. This session is being recorded, and that means that we're able to send it to you via email and through our social media channels after the session ends. So a bit later on today, hopefully. So today's agenda, I'm going to go through my spiel about the Shortcut, who we are, our community, how you can get involved, then talk about today's objective, as well as some interview hacks, then an opportunity for us all to network with one another if you haven't already, then answering your questions, and then giving you some useful resources to basically, supplement what we go through today, because we're going to go through it quite quickly.
Hey, Steph, it looks like we still have that one presentation problem. People aren't seeing your slides.
They're not seeing my slides?
That's right.
Okay, so if we go back, this happened last time.
I think we have, and I'm not sure what it was.
Yes.
Very good. I think that's good now. Can anyone confirm now?
I think we're good, Hannah, now. That's good. All right, we'll check for next session. But anyway, we haven't done too much, just the introduction, so that's fine. So who are we? The Shortcut. So we're the largest talent accelerator in the Nordics, which means we equip talent like yourselves with the skills and the networks you need to become an entrepreneur or work for a high growth company /startup. We're owned by the Startup Foundation alongside our sister organizations /Junction, Maria 01 and Wave Ventures, and we're not for profit or non-profit, depends what you prefer, which means any money we do make, we pump back into the business to best serve you. our community. And so, yeah, one of the values that underpins what we do is our community value. So we're for the people and we're by the people. So we're going to support each other in our pursuit of employment, entrepreneurship, and giving back, creating a circle of good. It's really easy to get involved and stay connected. You're already here, so you're probably already aware of this, but do follow us on our social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And then also go to our website. It's been recently refreshed and is looking pretty nice, pretty snazzy, and subscribe to our newsletter. Our newsletter contains loads of useful information, as well as all of our upcoming activities and any potential job opportunities as well. Yes, and everything is free to join, so there's a very low barrier to entry. Moving on to the presentation proper. So today's objective is to talk through some interview hacks to make your interview unforgettable. And I must have been in a funny mood when I wrote this, but in a good way, obviously. We don't want them to forget you. We want it to be unforgettable and memorable. So let's go through the hacks. I've split these hacks into 4 sections, basically. Preparation before the interview, prep before the interview, during the interview, and at the end of the interview. So hack number 1 is about preparation. So my first hack is prepare for the most common questions and build concrete examples around them. So here are some examples of common questions that you're likely to find in an interview. Tell me about yourself. What's your biggest strength? What's your biggest weakness? Why should we choose you? And how do you recover from work? So these questions come up all of the time, yet people fail to prepare for them, which is really bizarre. So if you prepare in advance, the interview is going to go really smoothly. You'll kill it. It'll be really easy because you already have examples and be able to talk about them. Easy. Prep number 2, and you all know this surely, do your research about the company. Because of coronavirus, there's been a significant amount of layoffs, which means that the talent pool is bigger than ever. So you need to show the interviewer that you're genuinely interested in working at their company. And you do this by doing your homework, understanding how they operate, understanding if they've been in the news, and then speaking about it in your interview. That way, you're going to stand out amongst the crowd. Simple. Okay, so that's the prep section. So prepare for the most common questions, do your research about the company. Now, before the interview starts, don't turn up 30 minutes early for an interview. 5 to 10 minutes is optimal. If you do turn up 30 minutes early, go grab a coffee and wait somewhere else. And why? If you arrive too early, it can stress the interviewer out because they have other things to do. You know, it's a normal day for them at work. And if they feel stressed, if they feel like they have to come and see you, it might have a negative impact on your interview. I remember this when I used to interview people back in the UK. Like some people used to come an hour early and I panicked. It did stress me out. And actually, maybe it did subconsciously have a negative impact on their first impression with me. So don't turn up super early. Understand that the interview is a two-way street. So hack number 4 before. You know, the interview is a discussion and it's also a choice. I mentioned very shortly ago that, you know, there have been a lot of layoffs and the talent pool is big. And often it can feel like you should take any job that comes your way. And maybe sometimes you have to. But if you have a choice and if you can wait, then do make sure the company you're going to work at aligns with your values. And I've written please in capitals. I've worked for companies that don't align with my values, and in the long run, it doesn't work out, and I was unhappy. So please remember it's a discussion, and it's also a choice. So this is a bit of a mindfulness exercise. So you should breathe, obviously, you should breathe all the time. But in particular, you should use this 4 to 8 breathing technique. So that's in for 4 seconds and out for 8 seconds. And the reason that you should do this is that when you breathe in for 4 and out for 8, it's been scientifically proven to slow down your heart rate and make you feel less anxious. So it's interesting, the way that you breathe can stimulate your heart in different ways. If you breathe in for 8 and then out for 4 seconds, then your heart rate goes up. So it has the opposite effect. You feel ready to go, but you also feel more anxious. So in for 4 and out for 8. Breathing out for 8 seconds is actually very hard. I've tried it quite a lot. Cool, before again, and then power pose, and a little bit like Superman, a bit like this. And And it might feel a bit unnatural, it might feel strange, you might not be comfortable, and you might sort of question whether it actually works or not. But apparently it does. Like having the right body posture and power posing can make you feel more confident heading into an interview. And it's scientifically proven. So breathe and power pose before the interview. And when I say before, I mean right before the interview, like 5 minutes before. Moving on to the next section, which is during the interview. The very first thing, and I tend to do this myself in all of the interviews that I've had in the past, is to say that you're nervous, but acknowledging that it's okay to be nervous. Now, why should you say that? Surely that makes you look a little bit, I don't know, maybe weak is the wrong word, but a little bit more sensitive. But actually, it's a great thing to say. It shows that you're human. It shows that you care about the position. If you weren't nervous, I'd be quite worried. It means that maybe you don't care or invest in the position that much. And also, if you verbalize to the interviewer that you're nervous, they're more likely to be empathic with you. So it's quite a good technique for them to ease off. If you come in quite bullshit and quite confident, the interviewer will match that. If you come in and say, "Hi there, nice to meet you," and they ask, "How are you?" You said, "Oh, I'm good, but I'm a little bit nervous because I really want this job," and they'll treat you much more nicely. I promise that they will. Okay, and then during the interview, again, not rocket science, but it's okay to stop, think, and take a moment to answer the question. It's very tempting to answer it right away with the first thing that comes to your head, because you want to show the interviewer that you're on the ball and you know what you're talking about and that you're knowledgeable. But remember, the interview isn't testing you on how quickly you can answer the question. It's testing you on the quality of the answer you give. If you don't take the time to stop and think and you end up saying the wrong thing, it's going to negatively impact you. So wait, think about it, and then answer. Cool. During. So when you answer a question, make sure that you have concrete examples and stories ready, and that you use this framework that I call P. The P stands for point. This first E stands for evidence. The second E stands for explanation. And if you use this framework to answer questions, you won't go wrong. And actually, you can use it to answer any question, any walk of life. And those of you that have sat on some of my webinars or sessions in the past, you know I'm an avid advocate for the P framework, and I talk about it a lot. But I just think it's so simple to implement, and I think it really answers the question. And why? So if you don't use the P framework, and this tends to happen in CVs that I see, cover letters that I see, and in mock interviews, you end up just saying the point and the explanation. So you say something like, "I'm extremely motivated." That's the point you're trying to make. "And I'll be a great asset to your team." And that's the explanation. Because you're motivated, you're going to be a great asset to their team. But actually, where's the proof of that? Anyone can say that. Why should I believe you? I've only just met you. So you need to prove it. You need to give the evidence. And on the next slide here, I've given an example, and I've made light of it. I've made a little joke of it, but essentially the P framework is a piece of piss. So that was a stupid laugh. If you stick to this framework to answer any question, you won't go wrong. So the P is the point, a characteristic. The E is the evidence, the proof of that characteristic that you've shown. And the explanation is why it's relevant to the job description and how you can give added value. An example I give is from me. So I'm extremely organized, hopefully. That's the point. Having had 7 years experience as a certified Prince 2 project manager, that's the evidence. And through this experience, I'm able to make business processes more efficient, supporting the goals of the shortcut. And that's the explanation. Really easy, and really easy for the interviewer to relate to. I'm talking a lot, I need a sip of water. Hack number 10, still talking about during the interview. Focus on your body language, keep your body open and your posture upright. 50% of communication is nonverbal. So if you're slouching, if you have your arms crossed, it could show that you're bored or you're disinterested, and people pick up on it. And actually, if you sort of try and reflect on your own behavior and your own biases against people, it's often related to body language. If I say something like, "I'm open to questions," like this, you're probably not going to ask me any questions. And the reason is that I'm frowning and I've got my arms crossed. So what my body is saying is going against what my voice is saying. And that conflict means that you're more likely to be uncomfortable and you won't ask me anything. So open body posture, not slouching, sitting upright, although I'm the world's worst sloucher. And yeah, smile. You just need to smile. People love smiling. That's good. Excellent. Hack number 11. Use props. Yeah, it sounds a bit strange, but I mean, why not? So I've given a few examples of props you can use. You can refer to notes that you've made. It's absolutely fine to bring your notes in. It's great. You can use a whiteboard. You can use pen and paper. In one of my interviews, I actually used a whiteboard and a pen to explain how I manage the product's development cycle. And it was an interview for a consultancy, and it worked really well, and it was excellent. And they were really complimentary after the interview about the fact that I'd used a prop, because no one had in the interview process so far. And the reason that you can use props is that they help you communicate more effectively. If you're not the best verbal communicator, maybe you're better at illustrating, for example, using the whiteboard as a way of communicating. Maybe you're better at acting it out, although be careful with that. But you don't have to just communicate verbally. Hack number 12, during the interview again. If you don't understand the question, ask the interviewer to give you an example. So it's okay to say that you don't understand something, even if you have to ask more than once. Otherwise, you sort of have the propensity to answer the question incorrectly, because the way that you understand it isn't the same as how the interviewer understands it. If you answer it incorrectly, it's going to impact you more than if you just ask 2 or 3 times. It really will. So if you don't understand, ask the interviewer, can you give me an example of what you mean? And what I've noticed, and this is really, really interesting, and it's human psychology, is that the interviewer will give you an example of the type of answer they want to receive, because it's on their mind. It's what they're looking for. They're almost pre-programmed to look out for that kind of answer and tick their box. So in a way, it's not cheating. Nah, it's not cheating, but it's quite a clever way of understanding what they're looking for. All right, so you've absolutely killed the interview. You've used props. You've asked the interviewer to give you examples where you don't understand. You use the P framework to substantiate your answers and give concrete evidence about your characteristics. And your body language has been exemplary. You've been open, you've been smiling, and you've been sitting upright. Now it's the end of the interview, and you need to just do a few things. If you're still interested in the role, you need to let the interviewer know. So you could say something like, I really enjoyed this interview and I'm excited about the role. Why? You're more likely to be remembered, hired, if you show genuine interest. It's easy just to say thank you and goodbye, but just make it obvious that you enjoyed it and that you're still interested in the role. And then hack number 14, at the end of the interview, ask for feedback there and then. So you can say something like, thank you so much for your time. How do you think I did? And the reason is that it's much easier to get immediate feedback rather than following up via email or telephone. If you somehow don't get the job, which you will get the job if you follow these steps, you'll also know what to improve for the next time. Hannah, I'm going to pull you in here because when I was going through the previous presentation we gave, you also gave an example of doing this, but I couldn't quite find it.
One of my kind of favorite questions to ask at the end of an interview, if I'm being the one interviewed, is asking, is there anything during my interview that you think there is a weakness? Or again, I forgot how I phrased this, it put me on the spot, but basically asking, is there any concerns about me during my interview? Do you have any concerns about me during my interview? And this is a really good opportunity because they will answer honestly. They always have with me. And that's I've been told, maybe I'm not the strongest in IT roles. And it gives me a chance to kind of defend myself and say, you're right. And I have been working on improving my experience with IT roles. So it's just a good opportunity to defend yourself a little bit and kind of fill in any holes they might have with you.
Thanks, Hannah. That's great. Yeah.
Mhm.
Nice.
And also, hack number 15, send a thank you note.
Thank you. Thank you, Senna. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't include that. You're right. Cheers, Hannah.
Yes, absolutely send a thank you note. It makes maybe just even a small difference, and it makes your recruiter feel better.
Yes. So for everyone that's watching this, Hannah's our HR specialist at the Shortcut. So she's also excellent with it when it comes to interviewing technique. So thanks, Hannah. And then most importantly, although I didn't include this as a hack, but it sort of underpins all the hacks, be open, honest, and stay true to yourself during the interview. Faking it to make it does not work in the long run. It really doesn't. Don't try to be someone you're not, or try to give them the answers that they think they want. Later on, it will make you unhappy. That's my experience, at least. So yeah, excellent. They are all of the hacks. Now I want to give you an opportunity to network with one another. We did this in the last career clinic session, and basically you can go to this Flinger page, which Hannah has hopefully sent you in the comment section, and then you can start writing your name and sharing your LinkedIn profile. And it's just a way for you to browse through other profiles, see if people are in the same field as you, see if people have similar interests, and then you can start talking about like opportunities that are available or difficulties that you have, and any tips and tricks that you can get from one another about things that have worked. So I'm going to go there now to this Flinger page, and you can already see my LinkedIn, hopefully here. Yeah, and we already have the first one in, which is great. So I'm going to give you like 2 to 3 minutes to do this until about like 10:53. And then we're going to move on to the Q&A if there are any questions. Brilliant. Thanks, Kay. Thanks, Long. Thanks, Julia. Hannah, you've got your name, but maybe you want to share your link. Oh, Hannah Trin, maybe you want to share your LinkedIn. Hannah Trin, if you're comfortable with that. Thanks, Hannah Gay, moderator. There's Hannah Trin's LinkedIn. Excellent. We'll just wait one more. We'll wait one more minute. Thanks, Martin. Nice to see you again. Thanks, Johanna from Vasa. I went there in the summer, Johanna. I went to a summer cottage there. It was great. It was super sunny. Nice. Okay, just 30 more seconds before we move on. Thanks, Michelle. And I'm going to wrap it up there. So feel free, as I said before, to connect with myself after this session on LinkedIn. Excellent. So we've gone through the hacks. We've shared our LinkedIn profiles with one another to start the conversation. Now we're going to move to the Q&A section. So Hannah, have we had any questions throughout the hacks?
Not at the moment, I'm sorry to say. So no questions right now, but people can send them in now. If you have any questions about the hacks or want to know any more information about interviews, please let us know.
Thanks, Hannah. Yeah, so what I'm going to do then is that I'm going to go to the next slide, and then I'll jump back to the Q&A to see if any questions have come in. So This little hackathon session was built off the back of a longer 1.5-hour workshop that we ran on the 12th of August with Vapul and Kaisa from a recruitment company called Notarek. The topic was interviewing and contract negotiation. And you can find the presentation for that session as well as a live recording in the slides here, which will be circulated with you later on today. And they're both professionals. They've been doing recruitment, consultancy, employer branding for a long time. So do check it out if you have the time, because they also have a lot more tips. They go into a lot more detail about some of the things that I discussed as well today. And also, thanks for joining us. Hannah would have sent the feedback form for you in the chat function. So please do take the time to fill that in, because it will help me improve what we do in the future. The next in the series is how to hack networking, which is vitally important in Finland, as 70% of jobs are never formally advertised, meaning they come from networking. And that's going to be on the 13th of January 2021, so in the new year. And I'm really hoping that 2021 is going to be a better year than this year for sure. And if you're a professional or a company and you want to collaborate with The Shortcut, feel free to reach out to us on social media or send us an email to info@theshortcut.org. Now that I've gone through that spiel, I'm going to jump back to the Q&A. Hannah, anything coming?
Yes. The first question is, so what is the correct answer when you are asked, what is your worst quality?
So, Hannah, you're quite good at answering these questions, but it's actually okay to be really honest and give like a really honest example of how that's your best quality. But then the important thing in these questions is basically saying that you've identified it and these are the steps you're taking to improve it, and that you constantly reflect on it. So as long as you can show that you're learning from those things and that you're trying to improve that quality, then you're fine. The example itself can be quite honest and open. So I know, Hannah, for you always give an example of when you, you shredded all of those confidential files.
Whoa, that's not like a quality that happened once, but I do public speaking. Like I'm not very great with public speaking. So the idea is you want to use something that you can improve upon, but don't use anything too cliche. Don't say I'm a perfectionist. We hate those kind of canned answers when we get them in an interview. So yeah, just choose something that you can work on. I think a great answer right now is just to say that because work has gone remote, that you're still working on how to balance your time between family and work. I like that answer because I think a lot of people can't have a similar experience with that, can relate to that answer, that they also are working on trying to balance their family time and their work time differently nowadays. So that is my suggestion.
Thanks, Hannah. That's a great suggestion. That's better than what I said.
And then the second one is how to send the thank you note. Which channel do you use?
Well, I think from my experience, if you have like their personal email address, that's fine. I don't think there's really a right or wrong answer here. I don't know if you agree or disagree with me, Hannah.
I agree. I've used both. I think I have used email for like the primary interviewer, but if there was like a second person that was just there but didn't say much, I've given them like a thank you note, like on LinkedIn too. So it just depends. Email is, I think, number one, but LinkedIn is okay too.
Great.
And that's all the questions that we had at the moment.
Thanks, Hannah. So we can wrap up there then. So thanks again for joining us. Do complete the feedback form. Have a great holiday in whatever form you're celebrating. And hopefully, we can all come together in the new year with a more positive outlook on coronavirus. I shouldn't have mentioned it. I put a downer on the presentation, but no, I'm hopeful for 2021. So thanks for joining us today. Have a good afternoon. Enjoy your holidays, and we'll speak again in the new year. Bye. I'll keep waving until you tell me not to.